Good morning, traders. Today is Monday, January 31st. My name is Charles, and this is the Pirate Traders live stream. All right, well, this morning, the name of the game, as has been for the last few days, is balance, right? So up here on this morning, I said if we couldn't break out of balance, we'd be heading to the opposite end, and we did. Then the next day, I said if we couldn't break above. Actually, my charts are a bit off here. Hold on. Let me just correct this. Sorry about that. Little glitch action. But anyway, when we're in a balancing area like this, where the market is just rotating up and down within a particular range, when you're right at a balancing high or a balancing low, there we go, that's cleaner. You can watch how the market bounces between them perfectly, right? And that's what's been continually happening here over and over again. So on Friday, we found support near the bottom of balance, traded up to the opposite end. We had a big spike up on Friday, and we closed right at the high tick. So that was a little tiny bit bullish. But the question was, what will the overnight do over the weekend? Will they take us to new highs, or will they pull us down in the range? And unfortunately, they just did a dance right on top of that balancing area, basically just bringing in volume in the exact same area we did the last time we tried to break out of balance. So the market's open. So we are opening inside the spike. That is sort of a neutral, slightly bullish to neutral signal. So the first place we'll look for support on a pullback down is at the base of that spike, right, which is 43.85. If we find support there, we could break back out of the balancing area to the upside. If not, I would target the bottom end of balance once again. Same as it has been for the last few days. If they can't break above these levels, if they can't get the market to go up here, they have to pull it back down to bring in more buyers like they did all these times, right? They got to do that again, and that's what a balancing area is. They got to keep pulling back down to the lower end of balance until they bring in enough buyers to break out to the upside, or they have to keep trying to break out to the upside until they bring in enough sellers to break out to the downside, one way or the other. So that's the main thing I'm watching this morning is what happens if we trade down here to the base of the spike. Do we find support? Once again, that is 43.85. Do we find support right around there? If so, I could look for a breakout. If not, if that breaks, I'm targeting the repair of the poor low we left behind from Friday at 42.83. Jesus, that's a 100-point move. Almost a perfect 100-point move. And then, of course, if the market can find support up here in the area where the overnight was trading and start to break out higher, I would definitely go with that trade for continuation higher because balance leads to excess, right? So if we are finally breaking out of this balance area to the upside, you could expect a big move. So if we can find support in here, I'd be happy to go long. But if the base of that spike breaks, I'd be looking for shorts. It's also worth noting we're right on that 200 daily SMA. So that's either eventually, we don't know yet, but that's eventually going to either be resistance right now or it'll turn into support. So I marked that on the chart just so we know where it is. So sometimes it's easier to see these things on the regular candlesticks. Every time the market makes a move, it always does it with a trend that then rotates for a while and then decides which direction to break out of the rotation. Trend rotates for a while, breaks out, rotates for a while, breaks out, breaks down, rotates for a while, breaks out. You see there's like a pattern to it. Trend rotates for a while, breaks down, rotates for a while, pushes back up, rotates down, up, rotates down, up, down, rotates. You see how we do that? So that's what balancing areas are. They give the market a chance to essentially decide which direction do you want to go. Do you want to go back up or do you want to go back down? And so that is kind of what we have from last week is a balancing area. So if we can break out, it's much easier to see on this chart. You could see us getting continuation higher, the same way we did here, the same way we did here, you know, all the previous times that we've had these balancing areas. But if it trades back down to the opposite end, it could lead to continuation that way. But as long as we are doing the dance, as long as we are balancing, we just assume we're going to target those opposite ends. Overnight inventory was pretty neutral, so there's no counter auction to be expected. So we can look at the internals right from the start and see what they're doing. And currently they're starting to push higher. A little too early to call them bullish, but they're getting there. $99 people here, 27 likes. Please push that thumbs up if you don't mind. Help the pirate out. Let's take a look at the NQ. So the Q opened with a little bit of a gap this morning, but then it immediately filled that gap, found support, so that's bullish. It is also right at the high of its balancing area, which, yeah, I would say is probably like 550-ish. That's its balancing area high, so it's testing that right now. So if we can get above yesterday's high and then pull back down and we start to get some support, that would be viable to me for at least a push higher. But we got to wait for that support because they could just repair this weak reference and then pull back in. So don't buy the breakout, buy the support when it comes back in. Good morning, Diego, Cyrus, TV. The donkey is back. David Glass, Philip is with us. Nor Auto Trader. Amir, good morning to you. Insane Creations, ahoy me hearty. FRM, Laser Eye. J Trader. Ronald, good morning to you. And Amir asks, is today the day we break out of balance? Well, let's find out. It's a great question. It's the only question. Marco says, nope, today's the day we go straight to the other end, as we have been doing. And by the way, that activity that we had last week where it was going straight from one end to the other, that's pretty extreme. It normally takes like a day or two. Or like, you know, it usually takes like 2 days to kind of get from one end to the other. But this literally going directly from one to the other is very rare. But, you know, we've just got so much volatility. So much emotion in this market. Good morning, John, Dean, welcome, Scooball, Trader Ned in the house, good morning, the Shaw back with us, Danielle, good morning to you. Tesla's up 4%, oh boy. Scooball, yep, that is a week high. A period high is considered weak because it is only one tick above yesterday's high. And so that just means there's a slightly higher odds that we're going to go repair it. Ironically, there's another weak reference just above it there that we left behind from the 26th. So we would have to pretty much repair both of them. We'd have to get 2 ticks up here to repair this. And that would be enough excess that we could look for support on a pullback down for potential continuation higher. MK, where's the support? Overnight POC? I would have actually considered it the balance area high, right? Just that general area. So if you look, why is that the balance area high? Because we found resistance there all these previous times. We tried to build support here and it broke. Found resistance there again. So that's really the support resistance in my mind, is that area right there. And then you can see that's where the overnight found its support as well. And then this morning. So that's really the strong support. Up here, this is like momentum for the breakout. All right, so they repaired the weak high, the first one. And so now once we get a little pop higher, this is the node where you see these red candles. We want that to act as support once we get a few ticks above here when it pulls back down. Design up. Arr. Mike, good morning to you. Pavel, good to see you. Rev, welcome. Mike, do you consider that this is the last day of the month? You know, I don't really take that into my analysis, to be honest with you, but it is a good point, right? There are, money managers who have to report to their clients, their returns at the end of every month. So yeah, there's something to think about that, but it's not something that really, I really take into account. I'm aware of it, but I don't think that much about it. Aaron, good morning to you. Welcome. Donkey saying great opportunity zone right here. Yep. It's going to move from here one way or the other. MW, good morning to you. Arthur, good to see you. Big Ray and Jose in the house. Okay, so that weak reference is repaired. So now we're looking for support. Things are starting to get interesting. Let's see what the ticks are doing. Got to get that tick above the 0 line. Okay, it's starting to feel a little bullish to me, like they want to get a push higher. I'm just waiting to see how the ticks react to getting above the zero line. Do they get instantly smacked back down, or do those buyers continue to keep it going? Okay, I'm bullish as long as we stay above that 200 simple moving average. So 44.16. We start, or basically the opening price of today. As long as we stay above that, we can get some continuation for a breakout here. But if we pull back down below there, we're likely heading back into range. So I'd want to be neutral once again and then waiting for the test of the base of the spike. Or even shorting from like there to the base of the spike. That's another trade. Shuho Deep, good morning to you. Welcome. Take a look at the Q. Same thing. I'd be bullish above the opening price. Even a little more so than the ES. They already got above their overnight high. And their ticks are a little bit stronger. So I'd say the Q is even a little bit more bullish than the ES. John Doe. So the dough, I get it. The dough is not an identity thing. The dough is a money thing. Dough. Okay, fair enough. Get you that dough, John. Trading Donkey, what's the market trying to do? How's it doing? It's trying to break out. It's not doing a great job, but it's taken the first steps. It hasn't failed to break out yet. Dum, 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 dum. Come on, buyers. Come on, buyers. It's your moment. Take it higher or get your faces ripped off. Scuball ticks look bad to me. Yeah, they were looking better before. Now they look bad. Now it looks like a rejection of the zero line on both indices. Train Zonkey asking myself, is this what a strong breakout looks like? Well, I mean, we're like 10 minutes into the day. Give them a second. If they do break out, yeah, it will be. It will have been textbook. Lately, the answer is no. Breakouts of strong balancing areas have been relentless buying. Yeah, well, that'll come once we get like a little pop. Once we get above the overnight high, then you start to get the FOMO. That gives you the push. They buy the dip, more FOMO. You know what I mean? It doesn't happen instantly as soon as the market opens. Volume on the day. Yeah, volume's low today. Nor Auto Trader, done for the day. Enjoy the rest of your day, brother. Going to Spain. Yeah, that'll be a nice break from Norway, temperature-wise. Big time. Okay, so our next resistance is going to be the overnight high. And really more so, I would say even this level 3650, where they kept getting resistance over and over in that overnight high. And so once again, when it butts into that resistance, we watch what happens when it pulls down. Does it find support? Take a quick look at the Q. Same with the Q. Looks bullish. They're pushing into this resistance left behind from the 21st around the POC, where all that volume is. So we'll see what happens when they pull back down from that. Do they find support once again? Around 14,560. Another thing that's interesting is how slow the market seems to be grinding today. We've come so used to this high volatility market where it's like just jumping. This slow grind seems unusual. Okay, so there's the resistance. Do the buyers step back in? A mere A period pushed higher, about 200 handles on NQ. Yes, sir. Miles, no tempo here. Yeah, very, very slow tempo. Miles, does that ever scare you when you're long or short? Yeah, all the time. That's my single greatest frustration as a trader is when I get in a trade and then the market like just slowly grinds and it won't just go where I want it to go. You know, this is the worst. But whenever I start to feel like I don't trust a trade and I'm in like a winning trade, I just move my stop above break even. And then if I get stopped out, who cares? I didn't lose any money. And I can alleviate that pain. I can alleviate that feeling of like, am I wrong? Should I still be in this trade? Should I get out? What should I do? Above break even, I'm good. Wait and see what the market does. Okay, so now the initial bounce is to the upside. Starting to get above that overnight high. Should bring in a little bit of a short covering rally. Some of that resistance. Screwball, it's not slow for me. Why do you watch 1 minute candles? I'm sure it's crazy on the 1 minute. But it's pretty slow on the 30. Have resistance here. Yep. Also got an old weak reference that needs repair, though, just above. Okay, this high is currently considered weak because it is one tick above the high from 126. Once again, just slightly increasing the odds we need to get one more tick higher. And the same thing happened to us earlier this morning down here around yesterday's high. And we also had that previous week reference. So it's the same thing. If it gets another tick up to repair the first week, it's weak again. Got to get 2 ticks above there. Well, Charles, what does that matter? What are you talking about? What do we care? Why is there a weak reference? What? Well, basically it just means there's 2 tiny little magnets right here. This is a tiny little magnet, and then this being weak is a tiny little magnet, and they're kind of pulling on price. So it's a slightly higher odds that we'll get up to here. But then once we do, those magnets are gone. So that strength that's pulling on the market is gone. So that's just the way we think about it. Okay, I'd like to see the ticks on the NYSE find support at the 0 line and not break below. If we're going to get momentum for a breakout, we should start getting it. Nunez, even those old weak references count 100%. 100%. And it's the same thing to the downside, right? Like we created on Friday, we created a poor reference and a weak reference, right? Poor reference, weak reference. So those are still tiny little magnets that are pulling at price. And so what happens is, let's just say, hypothetically, we do get a breakout today and the market starts to trade higher. The more and more of those that you stack up and leave behind on your way up, the greater the chance that eventually at some point it's going to come back down and repair them, which is what this last big pullback did. It came and repaired, just like at that point we had dozens and dozens of old weak references and they all got repaired. So I'm not saying that's why the market pulled back. It's just one of those things. When it starts to pull back, you have targets to the downside. Amir, do you know the narrative of why it is a magnet? Well, the magnet is just something I've made up as a explanation. Because a lot of times people, when you first teach them about weak references, they get this idea in their mind that they have to be repaired, and they don't. You can leave them behind. So that's why I chose the magnet as the example. But basically, it's just a sign that the market didn't get to finish the two-way auction process, right? That back on the 21st, when we were here before, there were people that went long in the G period here, and they never got a chance to get out of their trades. So there's just, the market wants to do business there. Okay, and there's that repair. Q probably getting itself a little bit oversold here. Looking at the ticks, they're above that positive 1,000 level. And that is often where they kind of run out of steam. So they may be getting a little bit overbought there on the Q. I'd be looking for support around 14, same area, 14,660. Design Knob, today's the day the account gets liquidated. Not your account. Say it ain't so, brother. You got this. If you don't trust the breakout, step aside. Don't take any bets. FRM, so we are officially out of balance? Correct. We are officially out of balance. So you can see it right there on the daily candles. That was your balance area. So this is the very beginning of a breakout. They can still do this, though. They can still wick if they were to pull back down today. But certainly if we close above that balance area today, it's bullish for continuation. Look at what they did this time. The last time we made lows. Balancing area, breakout, came back in to test it once more, and that's when we got the big move. So that's another potential thing that could happen. We get a little pop, comes back down, tests that, and then we take off. MK, what's your target on the breakout today? I am playing it as a one-time framing play. We're not technically one-time framing yet till the C period breaks the initial balance, but my assumption is if we did break out of balance just now, and this is a real move that's not going to pull itself all the way back, we should trend out of here. We should keep going. C period should be higher, D period higher. So I'll just stay with it as long as it goes, and I'll stop out on cessation whenever that happens. But I will say I've just moved my stop up to 32. So if it gets below 32, I'm out. Looking for support. If we don't get it, looking for a short. If we do get back into balance. Nunez is looking for a rally on the CPI numbers. Let's see. I don't ever trust those fundamental things. The CPI numbers could be great, and then they still dump it. Y32 because of the support of this little node of volume. Which is at 33. You could also, if you wanted to be super safe, you could put it at like 41 right now, or 42, looking for this node to hold. Nicholas, good morning to you. Yeezy, we are right into a nice balance above. Let's see if we get acceptance above today. Yep. That's what I'm saying. As long as we close today above that balancing area, that would be bullish moving forward. But if they reverse it and take us back down in there, it gets bearish very, very quickly. NQ's really got some resistance to work through here. Okay, looks like we're having trouble pushing higher here. We got good taper at the high, but I don't love the only 43 contracts at the high. Generally, you get at least 100. So that's a little bit weak to me that we might need to head up there. But we are definitely getting some resistance. So I think the market needs to pull back looking for support. First potential support would be 44.45. Scoobop but ticks look good. Yeah, they didn't though a second ago. They recovered. Zistel? No, the software is called Window Trader. Window spelled without a W at the end. There's a link in the description. If you scroll down, you'll see it says like market profile software. There's two versions. There's a full version and a light version. The full version just has like some extra gizmos and gadgets you don't really need. The light version is plenty. Honestly, any market profile software is fine. This one's just the most, you have the most control over it. Cyrus, what does the 43 contracts matter at the top as a long as you have good tapering shape? Yeah, that's the thing. So when I'm long and I'm asking myself, I'm long, so I think the market's going to keep going up. I'm constantly asking myself, how good of a job is it doing? Is it showing me all the things that I want to see? And one thing I don't want to see if I'm along in a trend is I don't want to see good taper at the high. I don't want to see the buyers running out slowly but surely. And at that moment that I mentioned that, we had like perfect textbook taper. The only thing that was kind of weak about it was the low contracts at the high. So it was one of those things where I was like, okay, I'm noticing the taper, but I'm also noticing that we probably need a few more contracts up there. But yeah, when you're trending like this, you don't want taper. What you want the market to push and then build volume, and then push and then build volume. You don't want to watch the volume slowly fade off. That is a sign the move is coming to an end. So you can see like we did here, build volume, push, build volume, push, build volume. This is what we want to keep doing. Donkey, you're still short? Well, my question is, where's your stop? Yeah, the closest thing I've found, Zil, to market profile on TradingView, there's this one. It's called VP underscore V054B. But what it does is it kind of shows you. Let me get into the 15-minute candles. It shows you like, it shows you the value area. And I think this is volume point of control. It just says point of control, so it's probably the time POC. But that's all you get is the value area in the POC. VP underscore V054B. I don't know who named that. Yeah, Cyrus. So you're saying, if it's not that significant, like having less than 100 contracts at the top, the taper would be more powerful. It's just something I note. I've just, in the past, I've noticed it's very, very rare you only leave 43 contracts at a high. It's just, there's just more people that like to do business than that. So it's certainly not, I would never go long because there's less than 100 contracts at a high or something like that. It's just one more little data point that I note. I'm constantly thinking of 100 different things, and each one kind of means something different. So the taper means we could have a pullback. The 43 contracts means we might still need to get up there and put in some more contracts. That's fair, Donkey. I can get behind that. All right. Well, the move seems to be running out of steam. So we're looking for a pullback. Where does it find support? First level I'm looking at is 44.45, this little node of volume. Then the overnight high, this whole area between like 38 and 33, that is the overnight high and the halfback. That area could act as support. If that starts to break, I would be neutral once again, and then seeing do we pull back down into balance. Now, once we pull back down into here, if we found support, I'd go along with it. If we found support at 200, I'd go along with it, but once you break down into that balance area, there's only one way to go. Down. So the C period is about to start. So we got some single prints that we've left behind. That is another potential support, again, just above that overnight high. So that number is 44.40. So if the market pulls back down to backfill those single prints, look for support there. If it gets a few ticks lower, actually, so like I said, support anywhere above halfback would be bullish to me. If we can get the C period high above the B period high, we're one time framing higher. So you'd want to just wait till the first 30-minute period makes a new low. That would be the end of the trend. Would they buy another deep? I'm not sure what you mean, Scooball. Meaning if it had a big pullback, would they buy it? No. If it pulls back down into that previous bouncing area we were in last week, they won't buy it. The support will disappear very quickly. All right. Thank you all so very much. We'll see you tomorrow morning. Members of the Brigade, off to the private stream.